The red sun of Idara burned high over endless dunes. Wind whispered across the sand, carrying dry heat and the soft hum of dust storms far away. Captain Elias Ward walked alone through that silent desert, his boots sinking into the soft surface. His small exploration drone floated above him, scanning the ground with blue light. Idara was not a friendly planet. There were no trees, no rivers, only wind and sand and ruins buried deep beneath. Humanity had come here only to study the strange magnetic signals that sometimes pulsed under the dunes. Most explorers found nothing, but Elias had a feeling today would be different. He checked his wrist screen. The drone had picked up something, a metallic signal, strong and steady. He frowned. "That's no rock," he whispered. He followed the signal until the sand dipped into a hollow. There, part of something smooth and dark was sticking out from the ground. It looked like a piece of metal, but it was curved, almost shaped like a hand. Elias knelt down and brushed away the sand. The shape grew clearer, 5 fingers, each as long as his entire arm. The surface was silver gray and cold, half metal, half stone. His heart raced. "What are you?" he murmured. As he dug deeper, the wind began to howl. The drone's light flickered. Static filled his earpiece. Then what a sound, soft but clear, came from beneath the sand. A voice. "Don't come closer." Elias froze. He looked around, but no one was there. The voice came again, this time stronger, low and echoing like thunder through a cave. "Don't come closer. Your scent means death." He stepped back, heart pounding. The ground trembled slightly beneath his feet. Slowly, more of the buried figure came into view, a face enormous and half hidden beneath the dunes. The features were calm and delicate like carved marble, but the eyes suddenly opened, glowing faint blue. For a moment, Elias couldn't move. He felt awe, fear, and wonder all at once. The face was not human, but it was not monstrous either. It was beautiful in an alien way. Soft lines of metal and crystal forming what looked like a woman's face. Elias tried to speak, his voice shaking. "Can you hear me?" "I mean no harm." The glowing eyes focused on him. Her lips moved slowly. "You should not be here. Leave. The air you breathe. It kills my kind." He realized what she meant. Oxygen was poison to her. She wasn't warning him for herself. She was warning him because his presence could hurt her. That alone told him something. This giantess, whoever she was, still cared enough to warn a stranger. "I can help you," he said. "You're buried. Let me call my team." "No team," she whispered. Her voice carried sadness. "They will come with machines. They will wake the others. You must go," but Elias didn't go. He couldn't. Curiosity was stronger than fear. He studied the strange patterns on her skin, small symbols like circuits, glowing softly under the dust. He realized she was not just metal or flesh, she was both. "A being of living alloy. What's your name?" he asked gently. After a long pause, she replied, "Seraphis." Her voice was heavy with memory, as if that name hadn't been spoken in ages. "I was a guardian," she said, "of the Solari people. We lived among the stars. We guided young species to wisdom. But we failed, and now I am the last." Elias sat down on a rock, still at a distance. The wind tugged at his jacket. "What happened to your people?" he asked. Her eyes dimmed a little. "We touched a power that was not meant to be ours, the heart of a sun. It changed us. The sky fell and our ships burned. I was sent to this world to sleep. Until the stars forgave us." She looked at him again. "And now your scent wakes me. The breath of your kind burns my skin." Elias glanced at his air mask. He quickly turned on the filter, sealing his suit tighter. "I can use the suit to block the oxygen. Maybe I can work near you safely," he said. She frowned slightly. "Why would you risk that?" "Because you're alive," he answered simply. "And no living thing deserves to be buried forever." For a long time, Seraphis said nothing. Only the desert wind spoke, brushing over her half-buried form. Finally, she said, "You are strange, human. Your kind burns worlds to survive, yet your eyes hold sorrow." He smiled faintly. "We've made mistakes too." That night, Elias set up camp near her resting place. The red moons rose over the dunes, casting long shadows. He worked carefully, using robotic diggers controlled from a distance so he wouldn't get too close. Bit by bit, more of her body appeared, her chest, her shoulders, half of one arm. Each part shimmered faintly like starlight under the dust. During breaks, they talked. She told him stories of glowing cities that floated between suns, of songs made from light, of civilizations that had forgotten war. Elias listened like a child hearing legends. In return, he told her about Earth, about oceans, mountains, rain. She closed her eyes and said, "Rain, I remember the sound of falling water. It was like breathing stars." Over the next few days, Elias grew attached to her voice. There was something deeply human about her loneliness. She had waited centuries in silence, half buried, unable to move or sleep. He began to understand she wasn't a weapon or a god. She was simply someone left behind. But then one morning his instrument started beeping. A massive sandstorm was approaching, the kind that could bury entire camps in minutes. He rushed to secure his equipment, but the wind grew faster, sharper, louder. The desert roared. He ran to Seraphis's side. The sand around her was already rising again, swallowing her slowly. "I won't leave you," he shouted through the storm. She raised her head weakly, her eyes flickering. "You will die for nothing. Go." Elias covered her with the digger's protective shield and kept shoveling, trying to clear the vents near her face. Lightning flashed across the red sky. The sand turned into waves of fire under the electric strikes. "Go," she shouted again. "You don't understand. The storm carries charge. It will awaken the core." "What core?" Elias shouted back. "The heart of my ship," she cried. "If it wakes, it will burn this world." Elias's heart pounded. The storm howled louder, throwing him against the rocks. Sparks danced across Seraphis's body. Golden veins of light ran through her skin. The ground shook. "Run, human," she screamed. He shook his head. "Not without you." Then a blinding flash, the entire desert lit up like a sun. The sand lifted into the air, forming spirals of glowing dust. The energy pulsed through Elias backward. He hit the ground hard, his visor cracking. Through the storm he saw Seraphis glowing brighter, her body shaking. "You've awakened the core," she said weakly. "It will call to the stars. You must—" Her voice broke off. The last thing Elias saw was her reaching out a giant hand toward him before the darkness swallowed everything. The desert went silent again. Only the faint echo of her voice remained in the wind. "Don't come closer. Your scent means death." The desert was quiet now. The storm had passed, leaving the dunes smooth and shining under Adara's red sun. Sand had turned to glass where lightning had struck, sparkling like a field of tiny stars. Elias lay on the warm ground, slowly opening his eyes. He had survived the blast, but everything around him looked different, surreal, glowing, and dangerous. He struggled to sit up. In the distance he saw her, Seraphis the Giantess, free at last from her burial. Her body still shimmered with golden light, veins of energy running across her skin like living constellations. She stood tall, towering over the dunes, her glowing eyes scanning the horizon. Elias called out, "Seraphis, are you okay?" She turned toward him. Her gaze softened when it fell on him. "I am awake," she said, her voice carrying a hint of relief, but only briefly. "The air still burns my lungs. I cannot stay long." He ran to her, careful not to touch her directly, and activated the portable air filters in his suit. "You don't have to rush," he said. "We can work together. I'll keep you safe." Her massive hand lowered near him, careful not to touch. "You risk your life for a being you barely know." "Why?" "Because you are alive," he said simply, "and because life, even strange life, is worth protecting." For a moment she studied him, then nodded. "Humans, strange and reckless, yet bright. You remind me why we once watched over stars. Perhaps you are not the danger I feared." The desert was silent again, but Elias could feel something stirring beneath the sand. His instruments beeped rapidly, a strong energy reading coming from deep underground. Seraphis stiffened. "That is the core," she said, her voice tense. "It has awakened fully. I warned you, but the storm has called it to life. If humans or machines touch it, it could consume this planet." Elias swallowed hard. "Then we have to stop it." Seraphis lowered herself slightly to the ground. "You're kind. Can enter the core safely. My touch will trigger it." "You must go inside." Elias's heart raced. "Me alone?" "Yes," she said. "You carry the courage that we once trusted. The core will judge your intent. Only human hands can act without destruction." Elias nodded. He had faced danger before, but this was unlike anything he had imagined. A sleeping giantess, a desert core that could consume a planet, yet he felt no fear, only determination. Together they approached the entrance of the buried core. Seraphis's massive hands shifted the sand like waves, clearing a path for Elias. Sparks of energy jumped from the ground as they moved closer. The air hummed with a strange vibration, almost musical, and Elias felt the power thrumming beneath his boots. "This way," Seraphis said. "You must go down. I will remain above and guide you." Elias descended carefully into the crystalline tunnels beneath the desert. The walls shimmered with blue and gold light. Strange symbols lined the passage, glowing faintly. They were alive, moving like liquid fire. Through his communicator, he heard Seraphis's calm voice. "Focus. The core tests the intent of all who approach. Think not of fear, but of hope. Think of life." Deeper and deeper, Elias walked. The floor beneath him began to pulse with golden energy. He could feel the heat of distant suns, the pulse of a world asleep for centuries. Finally, he reached the center, the core itself. It was a massive, crystalline structure spinning slowly, its inner light bright enough to make him squint. He looked at the symbols on the core. They shifted when he approached, responding to his presence. He realized they weren't just symbols. They were warnings, guidance, and history all at once. And then he saw the chamber's control nodes, glowing points he could interact with. "This is it," he whispered. "I can do this." Seraphis's voice came again through the comm. "Do not hesitate. Your hands must touch only the human-made tools. Do not let curiosity guide your fingers anywhere else. The core judges all who interfere." Elias carefully connected the energy stabilizers he had brought from the base. His hands shook slightly, but he focused on the task. He could feel the core responding. A vibration in the floor, a song of light in the walls. It was alive but not malevolent. He understood, it simply waited for someone worthy to act. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, he placed the final stabilizer. The core's light dimmed slightly, becoming steady instead of chaotic. Elias exhaled, feeling the tension leave his body. Above ground, Seraphis moved closer to the surface, sensing the shift in energy. She looked down at Elias and smiled faintly. "You have done what I could not," she said. "Your courage has prevented disaster. Your kind may yet deserve the stars." Elias looked up at her, awestruck. "I couldn't have done it without your guidance. You saved me as much as I saved you." Seraphis's glowing eyes softened. "Perhaps. But the lesson is yours. Hope can rise even in the strangest places, even when all seems lost." Suddenly the ground shook slightly, but not dangerously. Elias felt the core's energy stabilizing. The golden light retreated into the walls, leaving the crystal chamber calm and silent. He smiled. They had succeeded. Seraphis lowered herself completely to the sand. Her massive form reflected the sun, shimmering like a guardian of legends. "I cannot remain here long," she said. "The air will claim me again. But know this, I have seen your world and I have seen your courage. Humans, you are not what I feared. You are bright and your hearts are capable of hope." Elias reached out, careful not to touch her directly. "Will we meet again?" She paused, her glowing eyes scanning the horizon. "Perhaps. In stories, in memory, in the stars you may one day reach." Then slowly she sank back into the dunes, her body fading into the desert as if melting into starlight. Only the faint glow of her eyes remained for a moment, and then they were gone. Elias stood alone, breathing heavily. The desert was quiet again, but it no longer felt empty. He felt a warmth in his chest, the gift of understanding, of connection, of courage recognized. When the rescue team arrived days later, they found Elias at the edge of a sparkling dune field. The sand had hardened into glass under the lightning strikes, glittering under the red sun. He pointed to the vast desert now named Seraphis Plain and told them the story. They listened, unsure what to believe. But Elias knew the truth. Somewhere beneath the sands, a giantess had awakened, and humanity had been reminded that courage and compassion could transcend even the stars. In the months that followed, scientists studied the energy patterns of the desert. They learned from the remaining technology, not to control it, but to understand. Seraphis's last gift was not power, but hope, the kind of hope that made humans stand taller, reach further, and believe in the impossible. Elias often returned to the dunes. Sometimes, when the wind blew just right, he thought he could hear her voice in the whispers of sand. "You were not the death I feared. You were the hope I had forgotten." He smiled, standing on the edge of the desert, knowing that somewhere, out among the stars or hidden beneath the sands, Seraphis watched, and that humanity had earned a small shining place in the universe.